Reflexive verbs are an important concept in Spanish that doesn't really have a parallel in English. Reflexive verbs are used for actions when the person who is doing the action is doing that action to himself. Pretty much the closest example we have in English is to say something like, I get myself up in the morning. Since the person who is getting someone up is me, and the person that I am getting up is also me, this would require a reflexive verb in Spanish. Contrast that to, I get my kids up in the morning, where I am the one getting someone up, but the people that I am getting up are my kids. So there, the person doing the action is not the same as the person that the action is being done to. That would not require a reflexive verb. It may seem a little bit complicated at first, but just keep this example in mind, I get myself up in the morning, and understand again that there is not a perfect parallel between Spanish and English in terms of reflexive verbs. When you learned about the present tense, you learned 3 steps for conjugating a verb. Step 1, choose a verb. Step 2, cut off the AR, ER, or IR. And step 3, add a new ending based on the subject. Reflexive verbs follow those same 3 steps, but they're going to add one more step. That last step is to add the appropriate reflexive pronoun based on the subject of the sentence. We'll take a look then at reflexive pronouns, we'll look at reflexive verbs, and we'll walk through these steps, and it should all make sense. Up until now, most verbs that you've seen have looked like this. Hablar, it ends with an AR. You might see a verb that ends with an ER, or you might see a verb that ends with an IR. From everything you've learned, all Spanish verbs seem to end with AR, ER, or IR before they're conjugated. However, reflexive verbs are a little bit different. They're still going to be classified as AR, ER, or IR verbs, but they actually have something after that. They have an SE. That's our indication that a verb is a reflexive verb and that we're going to have to use step 4 when we conjugate this verb. So again, if it looks like this, where it ends with AR, ER, or IR, it is not a reflexive verb. But if it has an SE after the AR, ER, or IR, it is a reflexive verb. And again, we'll have to use that step 4 as we go through the process of conjugating the verb. Since step 4 tells us to add the appropriate reflexive pronoun, though, we're going to have to know what those reflexive pronouns are. So here we see them organized on the verb chart. You'll want to take a minute and write these down in your notes. Notice that our reflexive pronouns on the 3rd row of the verb chart are identical to each other. That's not a mistake. So we have me, te, se, nos, os, and se. Again, pause the video, write these down in your notes, and then we'll move on to the next part. Here we see a sample sentence, and I've included again the steps to help us remember. I get up at 6 o'clock. Yo blanco a las 6. That's going to use the verb levantarse, which is the example we just saw. It means to get up. It's got that se on the end, so it is a reflexive verb. So that's step 1. We've got our verb levantarse. Step 2, cut off the AR, ER, IR. Of course, we're also going to cut off the se, so that leaves us with levant. Step 3, add a new ending based on the subject. Our subject is yo, and it's an AR verb. We're going to add o, levanto. And we're almost there. In fact, let's go ahead and put this in its place up there on the line. Yo levanto a las 6, but we haven't done step 4 yet. Step 4 tells us to pick the appropriate subject pronoun. I should say the appropriate reflexive pronoun. Let's take a look at those again quickly. Our subject was yo, so we need the reflexive pronoun me. And we're going to put that reflexive pronoun in front of the conjugated verb. So our final answer is yo me levanto a las 6. Again, there's not a good English equivalent to this. Just remember that when we have se on the end of a verb, in addition to our regular 3 steps, we're going to have to add step 4. Add the appropriate reflexive pronoun in front of the conjugated verb based on the subject of the sentence. So our verb agrees with the subject and our reflexive pronoun agrees with the subject. It may seem a little bit confusing at first. You may not understand why it's this way, but the more you practice, the better you'll get, and you'll get to where it's not really a problem for you.